Welcome to X Connect. My name is Kareem Kanji. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a very special edition of the show today. I am here with one of the co-founders of Mesh, Stuart MacDonald. How are you? I'm
great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by in between Rush concerts and things like that. But yeah, let's talk about Mesh. We've got an event happening November 7th. But before we go into that and what's going to be happening there in November, how did you guys start this? It's been going on for a while.
Yeah, we were so fortunate. We started with the original Mesh conference now 7 years ago.
Okay.
And it's one of these stories is sort of, my dad's got a bar and let's put on a show kind of story.
All right.
Back in the day, it was sort of the very early days of social on the internet.
Yeah.
And there were lots of cool conversations and events happening all over the world. We had Web 2.0 conference happening in San Francisco. We had Lyft happening in Europe. And there were all these sorts of interesting events going on focused on Web 2.0 and the emergence of social media.
Yeah.
And so there were like 5 of us initially who got together and said, we should have something like this in Toronto. There's all these cool people doing interesting things. There was also it was the rebirth of the web after everything had tanked, after the dot-bomb time had happened. And so, there were interesting things starting to happen again. Money was starting to come back in terms of things getting funded again. And we sort of recognized that in Toronto, and in Canada for that matter, there really wasn't a venue where a lot of people could meet each other and talk about these interesting things that were going on. Now, a lot has changed over the past 7 years, but back then there was nothing. And so we were insane.
Okay.
The 5 of us, there was myself, there's Mark Evans,
that's right,
Matthew Ingram, Rob Hyman, and Mike McDermott.
Okay.
And initially there were the 5 of us, and we were insane because we said, yes, something must be done, let's do it. And like 8 weeks later, we had an event with 350 people.
Oh my goodness.
And we had never done events. I mean, we're still not an event company.
Sure.
We had no idea what it was that we were doing, and we ended up doing it because we felt that somebody had to do it. That there just weren't a lot of connections being made in the Toronto and Canadian web community at that time.
Okay.
And so over the years that's changed, and now there are a lot more, be it co-working or different types of relationships or incubators. The ecosystem has grown a fair bit.
Yes.
But I like to think that we were part of sort of turbocharging things.
Sure.
And so here we are 7 years later. Mesh continues. We've been doing it. We've been doing the main Mesh event, which happens in May. We've also taken the show on the road. We've done editions of it in Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, and then we also we've done in the past Mesh U, which is basically a day to geek out with rock stars. So basically for practitioners by practitioners. Okay. And then we also do Mesh Marketing, which is the event that's coming up on the 7th of November, which is focused on digital. So if you think about Mesh is about how the digital world is impacting how we live and work.
Yeah.
And Mesh Marketing is really honed in on the digital marketing world. So marketing has always been part of the main Mesh conference because buyers and sellers and the web, or the digital world now as it's gone well beyond the web, has been an important factor for a long, long time. But a few years ago, we thought that we would do a focus event that was just on the digital marketing space, and that's where Mesh Marketing came from.
Interesting. So not only did the 5 of you get crazy and do one event, now you started to do various events that had different focus.
That's right. So we've done different events with different focuses. Some of them are, some of them we did and we don't do anymore. It's more, this is a passion project for us.
Okay.
We're not an event company.
Sure.
We're a bunch of people that get together to do this thing because we think it matters.
Yeah.
And so the Mesh Marketing, I think we're in year 4 of the Mesh Marketing event, and the main Mesh event. We always choose themes for the main Mesh event, and marketing is typically in there because there's so much to do with, be it e-commerce or mobile or whatever it is, discovery, that marketing is always at the top of mind of people, especially if you look over the past 7 years that Mesh has been around. Social really went from what the heck is social to now it is such a huge embedded part of how people live.
Yes.
And also how marketers need to evolve. And so that's always been part of Mesh. And now with Mesh Marketing, we take one day and we just focus on digital and marketing.
Interesting.